You know, I think, you know, as I look at this game, I think it's pretty simple. You know, if you go on the road and play the 10th ranked team in the country, you've got to compete harder than we competed today. If there's one thing about Purdue that has been most impressive to me the last 2 years is how they fight and how they compete. And we try to get our guys ready for that type of effort, and obviously we were unsuccessful. And hopefully we will learn from it and get better.
Fran, you saw this team last year out in Spokane, and Etuan and Juwan, obviously, if I'd have told you this morning they'd go 12 for 32, that'd be probably a pretty reassuring thing. But then guys like Ryan Smith and Kelsey Barlow, is this showing Purdue's development, I guess, is my question.
Well, you know, I don't think there's any question that they've developed. The guy that I think has really made a difference, in my opinion, is Jackson. No, nothing getting away from the guys you mentioned.
Right.
Smith is on fire. The disappointing thing from our standpoint was, you know, we marked him based on how he's been playing, and clearly were ineffective in getting up in him. He hit 6. The first 5 he was open
right
on every one, and that just can't happen. But to me, Jackson makes this team go. I've really been impressed with his development. I thought he was good last year. I think this year he's a difference maker. Didn't think he was last year. Now I think he's one of the better point guards that certainly we've faced, certainly in our league. So that will make, I think, a lot of difference for them. So for us, you know, obviously, you know, you got to come into the game thinking about the big two, but they've got some other guys that can make baskets, and they're going to get Hart back eventually. He'll help them there as well.
So is this more of an effort thing than execution, do you think, or a little of both, one rubbed off on the other?
I think one rubbed off on the other. I think the turnovers early really took a lot out of us. You know, was it 11? Was it 11-0?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, we got it to the rim twice, but we were coughing it up. And they had a couple shots, and they were feeling good. And of course, we fought back. And I'm walking off the floor at halftime saying, you know, we can't play any worse, and we're right there. Hit the 3 to start the second half, and think maybe we're going to come back a little bit. But then we just had, you know, too many turnovers and too many ill-advised shots. And when a team is playing well against you and we're on the road, you can't quick shoot the ball. A quick shot in a situation like this is equivalent to a turnover. So we had some turnovers, but we also were quick shooting the ball, which they take advantage of. I mean, they run, they don't always run, but they run on your quick shots that are long rebounds. They go, and we talked about that. So, you know, I think the disappointing thing for us is we talked about Smith, and we talked about quick shooting the ball on the road, and we talked about taking care of the ball and playing through contact, whether it be a rip and a drive, or, you know, how you come off a screen, or how you finish near the basket. You're going to have to play with contact against this team. It's simple. And we were off a little bit and turning the ball over. And hopefully, like I said, we will learn from this experience. It's one thing to show it to them and talk about it. It's another thing to go through it.
Did you fear that your team would have games like this at times as you're trying to rebuild this thing, or did you think you were above something maybe like this?
No, you know, all we can do is prepare against it, you know, alert them to it. You know, I asked Matt Gatens, you know, the first practice after our last game, so what's the one thing you have to get ready for Purdue? You've been through it. Now, I already knew the answer. I wanted to see if he knew it. He said, you know, get ready for their half-court defense. They're going to get into us. And I thought he was pretty good. You know, I thought Brahma and Archie were pretty good. Cole was in foul trouble. He was kind of, you know, it affected Basabi, it affected Cartwright, it affected Marble, and it affected May. We need those guys to be a little bit tougher and be able to make better decisions with an understanding of where the shot clock is. Just because there's a little bit of heat doesn't mean we have to shoot the ball 8 seconds into the possession. They've got to stay after it.
There was a stretch there, Coach. You mentioned at the start of the turnovers, and then you play 16 minutes with one turnover, and it's like 42-29, and you have the ball, and then you turn over 5 to 6 times. I mean, how do you explain that can happen?
Well, I think it's, you know, we reverted back, Rick. You know, we weathered the storm to start the game, and we were within striking distance, and we settled down. And then it's one turnover leads to another, leads to a quick shot, leads to another turnover, and that's inexperience. But it's also not the competitive instincts that we need to have to beat a team of this caliber.